Hello, everybody, again. Welcome back. In record short time following the Circuit of the Americas episode 4, we're back for episode 5 of this 2025 season. You got myself, and you got Mr. J. Cook himself. We are recording this about 2 hours following the Phoenix race, so for the first time we can kind of record a show with the race fresh on our minds, and that's kind of our goal going forward, so we can also get these out earlier in the week. Jay, how you feeling? I am extremely tired, actually, because of the time change, and I went to bed. I didn't go to bed any earlier than usual, and then I woke up like at exactly when the time changed.
Yeah, I'm not feeling tired or anything because of the time change, but I am just feeling weird and off because of the time change. It happens every single time we do it, and it's just like we were watching the race earlier. It's towards the end, and I look at the clock, and it's like 7:15. I'm like, holy crap! Well, actually, no, I think that wasn't towards the end of the race. The race is over before then, but either way, the today has been entirely messed up by the time change. But I'm glad that we got it because now it's getting dark later again.
I always sleep with my AirPods in my ears, and I woke up in like just mass confusion. Like my music was playing, and I couldn't figure out what was happening in my ear, and I was just hearing noise, and I was like, what's going on? I was like, what in the world is that? And then like 10 seconds
You
go
couldn't figure
by.
out that you.
Well, 10 seconds go by, and I start to figure it out. And I'm like, oh, that's a song. And then I was like, oh, I know the song. And I was like, oh, I like this song. And then I look at the time, and it's 3 a.m. I'm like, oh, my God. So I only slept for like an hour.
That's why
at
you
that
woke.
point.
Okay,
And then
that's why you woke up in confusion then.
no, I wasn't confused because of the time. I just woke up confused.
Well, no, I meant that because you woke up after only an hour of falling asleep, so it's not like you were
Oh, yeah.
asleep for however many hours and then woke up. Anytime I fall asleep and then I wake up like an hour and a half, 2 hours into it, I am like, I don't know where I am or what is going on.
It was strange. And then I went back to sleep, and then I actually had a dream about Carl Edwards.
I saw that.
Yeah, and Tony
I
Stewart.
saw your tweet about that.
They were fighting for a championship, and Carl Edwards won. And then I woke up, and I was like, man, how is the season already over? I felt like it just started like a couple weeks ago. And then I remembered, and I was like, oh, that wasn't real. That was a dream. That's my story time for the day. So, Phoenix Raceway just got done wrapping up not even 2 hours ago, actually. And it was an interesting race, and I think my opinions changed a little bit on it compared to what it was even just an hour ago. I still wasn't super impressed with Phoenix. There's only so much you can really do with that racetrack to make the racing good, but
that.
It still wasn't. It was better than I feel like we've had recently
Far
there,
better.
but it wasn't great. But I think the option tire is kind of what leaned into it. That was really the assisting factor in making that race bearable.
Yes, that definitely was a big factor in making that race interesting, mainly because it was just teams were doing it at different times. They were running the tire at different times, so it actually made some strategy into it. I was a bit worried going into the race that we would just kind of see everybody run it at the same time and it wouldn't make much of a difference, but it was very nice to see that teams did wind up using those tires at different times, and it did make things quite interesting, at least to follow from a strategy standpoint. And, we could see cars pass. We could see them. I mean, you'd see cars fly from the back. I think Priest was in the 20s when he put on his option tires, and Logano, I think, was as well when he put on his option tires, and they both obviously got up to the lead. So it was very nice to have that. And I will say, on our previous episode, I mentioned I was skeptical if I wanted NASCAR to just go with that tire or if I wanted them to keep two options. I think I'd rather them at this point keep the two options. I feel like if you just make that the tire everybody runs, it may not be as exciting. You'll still see the tire fall off, obviously, but everybody will be dealing with it all at the same time, which, tire fall off is never a bad thing. But I feel like adding in the difference of tire compound that you're on also really made that a lot more interesting as well.
Well, at the start of stage 3, the majority of the field put on the soft, and it looked like it got a lot harder again to pass. So
which is pretty standard for these cars on short tracks, but also very standard for Phoenix as well. So
it was interesting. You mentioned Joey Logano, and then one of the drivers that had like that option tire on at a different time. His race pretty well got screwed like immediately with that first restart and him cutting down to the apron like literally at the start finish.
yeah, that was
such a borderline call.
I was about to say that it's definitely a borderline call. Like you could call it either way, and I think I would have been fine with NASCAR calling it either way. But the fact that they gave him a penalty, though, I see no problem with it. I think
Got to
it's
keep
good
it consistent.
They put their foot in the line, or they put their line in the sand, and we're like, even if you're an inch in front of the line and you come down too early, it's still a penalty. So I think NASCAR was good on calling it. I know that there probably was some Logano fans that would disagree, but I think it was the right call.
The first time a defending champion has gone the first 4 races without a top 10, by the way.
Almost as if
he frauded his way into a
champion last year.
Speaking of non-top 10s, Ty Gibbs as well. We'll talk about him later.
And the entirety of Team Penske and a lot of Ford struggling through the first 4
Blaney
races
was Blaney looked pretty good on the long run.
Oh yeah, but then his car couldn't make the entire race.
Yeah, it doesn't help when the car breaks. So rip to Ryan Blaney there. But yeah, I mean, we saw a caution come out very early on. What was it, lap 4? Catherine Legg making her debut for, I don't even know what BJ McLeod's team's name is. Maybe it's BJ McLeod Racing. I don't know.
Live Fast.
Live Fast, that's what it is. She made her debut. Spun out very early in the race. Now, of course, a lot of hate coming her way, not only in the race, but even before the race, throughout the week, there was a lot of hate kind of aimed towards Catherine Legg for pretty obvious reasons within a lot of the NASCAR fan base. Doesn't make sense, but when you look at the NASCAR fan base and some of the type of fans we do have, it makes sense as to what the way they are.
And 1 or 2 of the personalities on Twitter that no matter if they're putting on a character or not, it's pretty stupid to be making those kind of tweets that they make. Not pointing any fingers at specifics, but that's just what I'm, character or not, it's pretty stupid.
Saying it's a character is just an easy excuse to be a garbage human being. But, a lot of hatred towards her. And then, I mean, of course, that first caution she brought out didn't help her case. But the case in my defense for Catherine Legg there is her first ever stock car race, and she was given, a 20-minute practice to figure it out?
Well, it's not even that. It's the fact that I would not consider Live Fast to be a stellar team. So I'm sure that...
You're telling me they're not a championship caliber team?
So I'm sure the equipment she was working with and perhaps the setup, because she mentioned when she spun that her car was so undrivable that it caused her to snap loose on the exit of the corner. So I mean, it could be the fact that she's not used to ovals, why it was undrivable to her, or maybe it really was that undrivable. The setup was wrong. They missed it. I don't know, but she's not gonna show up to her first Cup race with having only a few Xfinity starts, and I think those were only on road courses. I'm not entirely sure. I haven't looked into it, but I know she's done some Xfinity. But she's not going to show up to do her first Cup race at Phoenix in not so great equipment and make a huge impression anyways. But yeah, it's just people are being unnecessarily hateful and still are being unnecessarily hateful online, which, I mean, it is online, so who's surprised?
Take it with a grain of salt, social media. She actually ran fairly decent after that spin.
Yeah, she was okay after that.
And then the big mistake, of course, happened where, was it the 21 of Josh Berry? I think that she ran into.
Yeah, the 21. Yeah.
She was they cut to the frame at a great time where it was seconds
right as it
before it happened, and she was quite a ways off the pace, but staying out of the way, and then just made a simple driver error, like huge driver error, and it washed up into the 21 and spun out right on the nose of my driver, Daniel Suarez, and ended his day. I was not happy about that for his start of the season. But obviously that one, that was obviously 100% on her. But Yeah, I mean, a mistake you can't really make. But I mean, it's her debut. Not a lot of experience. We've seen, a lot of drivers, Jay, make way larger mistakes than what she made there, and get a lot less heat for it.
I mean, yeah, exactly. That's something I
And
was going to say
regular
earlier.
drivers,
Text you,
veteran
exactly
drivers.
that's something that was on my mind, and I was going to text you that earlier during the race. Like, we have seen a lot of regular drivers in the Cup Series not only make mistakes like
Did we
that,
see
but
the big
they
one
make
today?
it consistently, and it winds up with multiple cars crashed. So race car drivers make mistakes, and she's making her first Cup start. You can't expect everything to be perfect. The second mistake she made, where obviously she spins while she's getting lapped and collects Suarez in it. And, it's not inexcusable, but it's also not just okay. I can forget it because she's making her first start. It's still bad. It's not. It was not good at all. I don't know if Fox interviewed her after she crashed. I think Bob did, but I
They
briefly saw
didn't
the
air
video
it. I
pop
know
up on my
that.
timeline, but then I didn't watch the video, so I don't know what exactly she had to say about what happened. But I mean, it's pretty obvious she made a mistake, and it winds up collecting Suarez, who's already in a pressured situation, wrecked last week,
Having a great
including
day.
wrecking with his teammate. And yeah, his team set him up, I think, pretty good strategy wise. And it gets ended by her mistake. So unfortunate for Suarez. He's had a rough last two races. Of course, last week his own fault. This week, absolutely nothing he could do. But the result is the same: a DNF and not a great start for Suarez this year.
Fortunately, we got a mile and a half coming up next week, so hopefully better fortune for Suarez. Yeah, he actually finished 23rd. He stayed in the race. He didn't actually DNF.
Oh, okay, that's right, my fault.
So I thought he was out for a while, but then I was like, oh, he's still going. So, and Leg ended up 30th, and then just behind her was the drivers that were collected in the Phoenix big one. When's the last time we saw a big one at Phoenix? 2011 probably?
No, I think we had one sometime during the Gen 6 cars.
I can't think of.
And I saw a tweet earlier, but I don't remember the specific date, but I think it said something 2016 or 2018, I think was the tweet I saw the last time there was a big one at Phoenix.
I don't know.
They were saying like we're due for a big one at Phoenix or something, and then the last one was 2016 or 2018, something like that. So it's been a while though. It's been quite a while since we've seen a wreck like that. But definitely 2011 is one that comes to mind. Yeah, where I think it was.
They all piled up. I think it was Vickers and Kenseth beefing.
Yeah, and then was it the 34 that plowed the inside wall without a safer barrier?
I think I thought that was a different crash. I saw that video, but I thought that was a different accident.
I don't know. I thought it was all the same one. Maybe not.
Either way, it was a big crash.
Yeah.
And you mentioned haven't seen something in a while like that. Speaking of haven't seen in a while, Fox goes, the last time we had a driver win 3 consecutive races in the Cup Series was Kevin Harvick in 2018. Kyle Larson won 3 races straight 2 times in 2021. Interesting.
I heard them saying that, but it went right over my head. And I did not know that happened for Larson. So I'm guessing that was brought up on Twitter later, and somebody brought up.
That's where I saw it was on Twitter.
Twice. Okay. Common Fox moment then.
And did you hear Mike Joy originally say that was the closest finish ever at Phoenix?
No, I thought he
corrected it after.
It was second.
No, he said so. He corrected it after that. It was the second closest, like a few minutes.
Oh
after
no,
the
I didn't
finish.
hear I didn't hear that.
Yeah, he was like, "It's the closest finish ever here." I'm like, "What?"
Oh.
And then, like 5 minutes later, he was like, "No, that was actually the second closest."
Okay, no, I totally missed him saying it the first time.
At first, I thought he meant like closest for the top 3 because they were all together right there.
Yeah, they were all three there together.
But little Fox shenanigans there. You know what? Actually, outside of that, I didn't have too much of an issue with the broadcast.
There wasn't much that happened. There was not much other than side by side going away, rip side by side.
There was one caution where they immediately went to commercial.
Yeah, I think that was the Catherine Legg one.
Okay.
I think. Well, at least I know it happened then because they were showing the replay for the first time. Unless they played music during the replay, I was half paying attention. But they went to show the replay for the first time, and then I think they went to immediately to commercial. But at least they showed us the replay before doing it. So I mean, we got that this time.
Woo!
If there was another one that you're talking about though, then I must have missed when that happened.
I can't remember now. It's been too many hours. But yeah, we had as well a few of those, like the big accidents we talked about with of course the 54, and he was going up the track, and Briscoe got airborne a bit. Those cars love to just pop up off the ground.
I still don't know if I even want to put that one on Ty Gibbs that much though, because of course Justin Haley had to give him room, but Ty wasn't really squeezing him up yet. It's just Briscoe kind of turned down a little bit and wrecked himself, in my opinion.
I mean, they wrecked. That's all I really know.
Yeah, they did wreck. Yes.
I don't put like the sole blame on anyone there. Those four guys racing for room, they all wrecked. And Hocevar got smashed into the wall, and Shane Van Gisbergen again, victim of world class oval drivers that don't know what they're doing at times. That's the third time in 4 races.
Are we gonna call Chase Briscoe a world class oval driver?
I take back what I said. A middle class.
And Justin Haley. And currently Ty Gibbs, maybe.
Middle class oval drivers. Wiping out Shane Van Gisbergen. I've had enough of it. But
that just brought something to my mind, by the way. So this is completely jumping ship for a second to the Xfinity race yesterday, where in Austin Hill's interview, after his wreck, he's in.
Oh, I wonder if this is going where I think it is.
It probably is. He's being interviewed, and he's like, "Hats off to the guys back at the shop or whatever, a bunch of blue collar workers at RCR," and I'm just like,
"Oh no, okay."
Are you fucking shitting me? NASCAR teams, NASCAR personnel are now blue collar workers, personnel that make a lot of money. They don't all make a shit ton of money, but a lot of them do. They're blue collar now. That's how that works. Okay.
I thought you were gonna go the route of him going, "That's the most embarrassing thing that's happened to me in my career." And I was like, "What do you mean happened to you?" I'm like, "You're the one that did it. You did it. It didn't happen to you. You did it." But I think I was just overlooking that a bit. Like I know he was trying to say that's the most embarrassing thing I've done. But the way he worded it was like, "Oh, it happened to me." I'm like, "It didn't happen to you. You turned into the wall. You did it." But we'll talk more on Xfinity in a short bit. Cup Series, again, we saw a few tire failures and whatnot as well. McDowell lost a tire. Who else lost a tire? There was another guy. Bubba Wallace.
That one. We still don't know if it was a brake rotor or a tire. Yeah.
And then Ty Gibbs, was his a brake rotor or a tire?
I think same thing. We don't know.
Okay. Either way,
I believe in Bubba's interview, he might have said that the brake rotor blew and that caused the tire to go. I don't remember quite what he said now.
Tyler Reddick, he was having issues towards the end of that race with like power steering.
Yeah, the power steering was in and out.
There's quite a few Toyotas we're talking about here. Gibbs, Wallace, Reddick. I was going to say Riley Herbst. I was like, well, he didn't have any issues, but he finished dead last.
He was wrecked.
Wiped out in that big one. So not a good day for 2311.
Did not have a great day.
No, their best finish was...
It was Reddick somewhere. I don't know what it was.
Yeah, Reddick finished 20th.
Okay.
So I guess it worked out decent for them getting a top half finish. How about John Hunter Nemechek, actually? Finished 14th, and surprisingly, he's beat Aric Jones in every race this year. That was not a stat I would expect to hear.
Yeah, I feel like that team overall is just kind of meh, though. You know, I don't see horrible things out of Legacy this year like it did last year. I think last year they could be clowned on for just about anything and everything they did. This year they just kind of seem to be there. Which I don't know if that's really an improvement or not. But yeah, Aric has not had a stellar start to the season. But again, it's Legacy, so don't have much to say about them other than I hope they improve because I like Aric Jones and I like Jimmy Johnson owning the team. But I mean, they have the most executives, I think, of anybody in the sport, and they still can't really turn it into results. So I'm not really sure
Jimmy
what it's going to
Johnson,
take for them.
Matt Kenseth could hire me, but I haven't gotten the call.
Yeah, that's probably why they're not getting good results, actually, because they haven't come to you yet.
You know who did have a good result today that ran well all race long? The 21 of Josh Berry had
Yeah, he was
like
on it.
exceptional, like a fantastic race, like probably the most
Probably his
complete
best race in
race
the Cup Series. Yeah.
and probably most complete race anyone's ran in that 21 car since, I don't know, Ryan Blaney or maybe Matt DiBenedetto.
Probably Blaney. Probably Blaney. No, I think even DiBenedetto. I mean, they would always, if he ran good, there was always something towards the end of the races. I think Blaney's probably the only one you can look at.
Yeah. I mean, Barry just ran good all day. He was top 10 every
Yeah,
stage.
he was consistent the entire time.
Started fourth, finished fourth. So shout out to Josh Berry. Last year, I think he had decent speed at times, but obviously he was in an SHR car, so that was the problem to begin with. But he made a lot of mistakes, and he
Yeah, he
crashed a
did.
lot of cars last year. And I was a bit surprised by that because he's been known for being like a kind of keep the car in one piece kind of driver. And then he
But that's
kind
the
of
exact way he was in the Xfinity Series too. He was very clean in the Xfinity Series. He hardly ever wrecked himself. So he did have a bit of a rough year last year. But I think first year in the Cup Series, it's a different car. All that everybody talks about how different the Cup car is compared to an Xfinity car, and then the SHR equipment too probably had a bit to lead to had a bit of a I can't speak. Probably had a bit to do with that. Maybe he was trying to just overdrive the car and overstep the boundaries too many times. But good start for him so far this year at Wood Brothers.
all Hendrick cars were in the top 10 as well. Kyle Larson showed up right at
Shocker.
the end of that race,
How
and
about
made it
Zane Smith in the
spicy.
top 10 as
Yeah,
well?
he was in ninth. Kyle Busch in eighth. Good back to back races for him. Alex Bowman as well in the top 10. So, how about before we talk about just the finish in itself, how about Christopher Bell winning three consecutive races? And I just want to gloat that I picked Bell last week. I said he was going to win this race. I was confident. I remember he won here last year, and I remember he was running really good in the finale race until whatever happened. He ended up not winning, but I was very confident he was going to win this race. Personally, didn't really want him to win, but I'm neutral on Christopher Bell. So when you've won two races, I'm ready for a new winner, and we didn't get that. So, but I got to tell you what, I mean, 3 wins in the first 4 races. He's already had
On three different tracks.
on 3 different types of
Three
tracks.
very different
Yeah.
tracks.
And you think about he was side by side for the lead with 2 to go in Daytona until he got junked by the 41 of Cole
Yeah.
Custer. Like he could have
True.
been a 4 for 4. But that's I mean, you really couldn't ask for much better of a start to the season because he's already won, more races this year than probably half the winners will find, that they'll win maybe 1 or 2 races. So
Yeah.
he's already had a good successful season.
And
In the
I
win
think we're
column.
starting to see. I think we're starting to see now the Christopher Bell that we saw in the Xfinity Series. It took him a few years to get adjusted into the Cup Series and really find his form and really hit his prime. And now that he's hitting it, I mean, you think of the
It's
last
kind of
half
scary.
of last year, now into the first few races of this year. Christopher Bell is not only a dark horse championship contender, he is now a front running championship contender. He is certainly throwing his name into the hat very early this year as a championship contender. And I think he's really the only one to this point. We're only 4 races in, of course, but I think he's really the only one to this point that I can look at and be like, okay, that guy is going to be a problem for the rest of this season. I'm not sure there's any other driver that I can really think of. Maybe Byron. Byron had a good day. He also won the 500, obviously. Was good last week as
second in
well.
Coda.
So Byron, maybe. But Christopher Bell so far through the first 4 races has had an incredible start to the season.
My thoughts, like halfway through the race, I was just like, okay, like the start of the year is just Bell versus Byron. They've both been really good.
Which we've seen that before. Not those two specifically, but we have seen 2 drivers start out the year where it's always those 2 for the first 5 or 6 weeks, and then
they
everybody
kind of
else
fade
ramps it
off,
up,
yeah,
so.
and everyone kind of runs them down. So, yeah, I mean, Bell looks really good right now, but I mean, Jay just brought up a great point where we see the other guys catch up. So, wouldn't be surprised at all to see that
Long
in
way
the
to
next
go.
week or two. We still got 32
22 races until 32 overall, 22 until the playoffs. So a long way to go still.
He could
4
win
races
30
in.
races this year.
He could.
and still lose the
Sure, I
championship.
guess. Yeah, you're right. He could.
Wouldn't
Which I
that
think
be
that's an
something?
exact quote from Larson. I think Larson said
Larson
that
said you
exact
could
thing.
win like
So
35 or something. I can't remember, but I think he said you could win every race and then still lose a championship in the last one or whatever it was.
yeah, win every one but one and lose it. Yeah.
Which is sadly true. Very sadly
Unfortunately.
true. They did talk about it recently of discussing the playoff changes, but obviously that doesn't seem like we have an idea of where we're going with it yet. But
I don't think NASCAR knows where they're going with it yet.
No.
I think they can't make up their mind.
So we're not going to bother speculating. We'll certainly react whenever they announce something, because I'm sure when they do announce something, it'll be different. I don't think they're going to keep the format the same. But the only one I would hate is if they... Remember, Denny Hamlin floated the rumor that they were considering, we'll just add a fifth driver to the final, make it a final five.
Yeah, that would be
what
the
does
most
that
stupid
what does that
idea
do?
possible. That doesn't accomplish anything. That doesn't change a single thing.
Let's just add 10 drivers. The final 10.
I think the idea, I think it was on Hamlin's podcast. It was one of the first 3 episodes this year of the podcast, I believe, where he mentioned, or somebody mentioned, the playoffs being 7 races, I think, or 8 races, and then one final 3-race round of 4 drivers. That I think I would enjoy.
That's not bad at all.
If we're not gonna do the chase, I would enjoy first 7 races to set it up, 8, 9, 10 championship 4. For 3 races, boom, champion. I think that would be enjoyable. I wouldn't mind having that format.
That would be an interesting one. I still think a postseason belongs in NASCAR. I agree that
some sort of postseason
I think 36
belongs,
races is just a bit too long for the traditional 36 race format. The majority of the time someone's going to run away.
Then?
No, because I want as much NASCAR racing as possible.
Okay, that's fair. And you also have the same opinion of the shareholders. They're not going to want to get rid of any of their races and their moneymakers either. So where we're at,
I vote for more NASCAR races.
36. I think the teams would want to kill you for that.
I want 50 races. 2 weeks off, you get Christmas and you get New Year's, and rack them back up and get going again.
All right.
Drivers might only stick around for like 4 or 5 years, but
Yeah.
That'd be interesting. But maybe someone could catch Richard Petty then at that point. But back on track. Phoenix, the finish, we're going pretty quick here.
Well, I will say,
I'm
a little bit late on rebuttaling here, but I will say, how do you think he got to 200 wins?
Because he had 70 races a month to do them.
Ooh.
So anyways. There we go. Let's go back and increase the races. So we'll talk about the finish now. Yeah, like I said, we don't have a whole lot to go on about because we don't have any midweek news. So we'll kind of be reacting to any news that comes out this week on the next week podcast. But the finish of the race, we got one heck of a finish to talk about coming up in Xfinity. But this one, looking back on it, that was a great finish, really. You couldn't really ask for much more. Hamlin was able to, we had the overtime, and then Hamlin's able to get right on the right rear of the 20. He was on his outside for that whole first lap pretty much, and then just barely got to his right rear at turn 2 on that final lap to set him up for a chance into turn 3. And him and Bell kind of raced it off in there. Bell washed him up the track, but he didn't door him. He didn't put him into the wall like maybe someone would on a Saturday. Left him a lane, and had a straight up fight, a nice scrap to the finish there. And honestly, Jay, I thought the way they went up the track, I was like, Larson's just going to go pass them both on the bottom.
Yeah, I thought so as well. Yeah, I thought that was going to happen as well. They both, not only did they go up the track, but they both had to check up, and they were both still fighting each other, and I thought it was going to give Larson the opportunity. I think if Larson would have been just a tad closer, he would have gotten there, because obviously, by the time they got to the finish line, he was pretty close.
Yeah.
So I think if he was a tad bit closer entering the corner, he would have gotten there. But they were able to not only fight it out with each other, but do it and still keep themselves 1-2. So
that 5 car, he was just kind of okay all day. He ran top 10, but then in the final 10 laps, he just came on so hard. And then he came on very strong in the last 10 laps, and then nearly won it. But great finish. Yeah, I mean, really, we've had. How did it? Oh, Atlanta was under caution. So, and then Daytona happened. So, but the last 2 weeks, Jay, I mean, they've been just like straight up dogfights, but in like the cleanest way, but still in a very entertaining way for a win.
It is very nice to have Christopher Bell in the last 2 weeks fighting for the win and seeing him do it like he's fighting for the win. He's obviously scrapping for the win. He's racing hard, but he's not walling people. He's not spinning people. He's not dooring people and putting them into the wall on the exit of a corner in Phoenix in the Joe Gibbs 19 car. He's actually racing respectfully while also still making it really hard on you. So it is nice to see that Bell perhaps is going to be at least one of those younger guys that still races with some form of respect that we have seemed to come away or go away from with a few of our younger guys most of our.
I always like look at Christopher Bell and think he's like a younger guy. He just looks so young. Meanwhile,
That's
he's
right.
like,
He's like 30 now, isn't he?
yeah, he's like 30 or 31.
That's
He's like
a
a
point.
year or two
a
younger than
point.
Larson. But he looks like he's like 24.
I would guess he's maybe 24 by looking at him. Yeah, I forget he's basically 30, if not
Looks
over
young.
30.
He's old. Older. We're going to be like 30 in like 7 years, but 6 years.
You didn't have to say that.
Someone, who is it? Someone, yeah, October King commented on my video. He's like,
Yeah, it said you were 27.
I'm 27. I was like, are you kidding me? I was like, I was offended. I don't want to.
That would mean I'm 28, so I'm offended with you.
Yeah, there you go. So I guess I look old. But yeah, great finish there, and overall a good race. Just looking at some notable kind of like finishers through the list here. Brad Keselowski's had a horrible start to the year, by the way. He's finished 33rd, and I don't know if the points are updated yet on the NASCAR app. I don't think they are, based off of what I'm seeing. I feel like Christopher Bell would be leading the points by now. But where Keselowski, if it's not updated, Keselowski was 33rd coming into this race, and then he finished 33rd today. So that's a pretty horrific start for him. And he started this race. They don't have, I don't know why, but the app used to have the playoff grid, but the playoff grid is nowhere to be found anymore. So I can't really tell you where he is located to related to.
Oh, you're right. They
spot.
don't. That's
like a huge fundamental part of the sport is just not there.
Well, 16th place. If this is updated, 16th place has 88 points, and Keselowski has.
Oh, it is updated.
47 points. So he's 41 points outside the playoffs right now.
Oh, so he's fine. Yeah, it is updated because if you click on the driver, it shows 4 starts.
I mean, realistically, you're still fine overall because even though it looks terrible that he's 33rd in points, it's only 40 points because we're only 4 races in. So, it's not the end of the world for Brad
it's very
at this
doable.
point, but it's not great either.
You can gain 40 points in one race. Unlikely, but it's very possible. SVG is 22nd in the points. Not bad after getting junked.
Catherine Legg is higher in points than J.J. Yaley and Martin Truex Jr.
And Justin Allgaier.
Man. And we were saying that she doesn't deserve to be in the Cup Series?
And a 4-time Indy 500 winner, Elio Castroneves.
She is... she's higher than points than the NASCAR Cup Series champion. I mean, that's all you got to say.
Yeah, Martin Truex Jr.?
Yeah.
How about that? As well, Xfinity, I guess we'll kind of jump onto now. We are making really quick time here.
Not much to talk about this time.
Xfinity Series, it ended up seeing Aric Almirola win. As usual, the race as a whole, I would say, was definitely better than the Cup Series race.
Yeah, it was okay. It was
a lot more kind of movement around, like position-wise, than the Cup race had. And
which I think is to be expected, A, because of the car, and B, because of the drivers.
Very true. Connor Zilisch, winner from Coda. Where did he end up? Connor Zilisch ended up... Oh, he fell down, huh? Oh, he ended up 16th. Wonder if that was because of overtime, because he was running right around the top 10 for the majority of the race. But Ryan Sieg, by the way, finished 4th Shout out to him. But Justin Allgaier, Jay, every time we come to Phoenix in the spring, he dominates and then something goes wrong every single time.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, like you mentioned last night when we were discussing this, he won the championship last year, so it's not every time they go to Phoenix.
That also didn't come easy at Phoenix. He was like, what, wasn't he 2 laps down? Or was it 1 lap down?
No,
he was at least 1 lap down, because remember, he got a penalty for something. I think it might have been a restart violation or something, because I think he had to do a pass-through penalty.
Okay, yes, I do remember that now. It might have just been 1 lap then. But the last 2 spring races for sure have not gone Allgaier's way at all. They have gone the exact opposite. And I don't know if I'd call him the dominant car yesterday, but obviously he was leading late and running away with the thing. And then the caution comes out and it just goes away from there.
And, I mean, he still gets a respectable result, P5. I mean, can't complain too much about that. Brandon Jones showed up for the first time in a year and a half, which reminds me, Ty Gibbs, we got to talk about him. We'll talk about that after. But yeah, shout out to Brandon Jones showing up. Taylor Gray ran pretty well as well in the 54. I'm not really sure what to expect out of him this year based off of just his Truck Series career. But the finish is obviously what everyone was talking about. Alex Bowman and Almirola. I mean, first of all, they were 4 wide for the lead in turns 1 and 2 in overtime. And Bowman, well, Allgaier used up Almirola, and then Bowman just splits them both through the middle and just slices 4 wide through and says, I'm just going to go and run away with it. I thought that was just a really cool sequence of events that happened right there. But then we get to the finish, Jay. And Aric Almirola, I was very surprised. I wasn't surprised, but I was surprised by who did it. In terms of walling Bowman from a guy that always preached, hard, clean racing. And he did not hesitate in the slightest to door the 17 into the wall and not give him even a slim chance of racing him clean back to the line.
Yeah, I want to say that I'm surprised. I'd like to say that I'm surprised. I'm kind of not. Almirola, retires from the Cup Series, hardly ever able to win in the Cup Series. Now gets his opportunity to run some races in the Xfinity Series with Joe Gibbs. He's made the most of them. Yes, that is true. But like you said, he always kind of preached and drove clean, and that finish yesterday was just, not even leaving him a lane, just dooring him straight into the wall. About as not clean as you can get without straight up dumping the person as possible. And it's just, I don't know, it's disappointing. It's kind of dumb to see that finish happen, to see a guy who ran in the Cup Series for years come down to the Xfinity Series like that. And he didn't do that to an Xfinity Series regular. I think there would be a lot more uproar if he did that to an Xfinity Series regular, especially a younger guy who is learning how to drive and taking maybe somebody like Aric Almirola as a mentor or as a guy to watch on how to drive. So I think there'd be more uproar if it was something like that. But still stupid, still dumb. It ruined Bowman's car. It obviously just, he said, I'm winning this race, but I'm putting you in the wall. You're not going to even be given a chance. Enjoy.
I saw after the race, he said that he thought that move was warranted. And I was like,
yeah, I don't know.
What did Alex Bowman ever do to you?
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe because Bowman was aggressive on the restart. I don't know. But it warrants you just slamming him into the wall and not even giving him a chance to race. I don't know. It's silly.
I mean, I hate on it, but I also absolutely love the drama of it. So,
yeah, that's fair. That's fair because it gives us something to talk about, and it gives everybody something to talk about, and it is nice to have the drama and the excitement and the whatever you want to call it, but doesn't make it any less dumb.
I saw some comparing it to the 2003 Darlington finish,
No,
And I'm like, that
no,
to me
not even
felt so
close.
different. That was two guys came up off the corner. They were both voluntarily beating and banging on each other.
You
And
didn't just have them come off a turn four and
the guy on the bottom didn't
one
just
of them
slam them into
decides
the
to just
wall.
shove him into the wall and not give him a chance. Like that's not even close.
So I don't know. It was unfortunate to see from Almirola, but yeah, I mean, that we see a lot of that type of racing for wins. But then you go and see today, Christopher Bell proves that hey, you don't got to do that to win the race. So
No.
he was in a near identical situation to the Xfinity ending. So and he obviously he went up the track and moved Hamlin up, but he didn't run into him. He didn't put him in the wall. He gave Hamlin more than a lane to work with, and was able to come out with the win. So it's kind of like the whole blocking thing. It's like, man, you don't got to block to win these super speedway races.
Yes, exactly.
But these guys are like
90% of the time, hell, 99% of the time, when you throw a block, you're just going to end up wrecked.
Unfortunately, Almirola wins after doing that. Because I always love seeing someone that tries to do something like that. Like when someone throws a block and gets wrecked, I'm always happy. Because I'm just like, it serves you right. You know, like, what are you doing? So I always like to see the guy that tries something like that to get the short end of the stick. But I mean, it's easier to win when you just shove them in the wall and keep them from even having a chance, of course, to pass you. But Bell proved it today. You don't need to just door the guy into the wall to win the race. And like we said, we talked about it on the super speedways. More often than not, the guy that wins is the guy that didn't have to throw a block. So I don't know. It's just we're in an interesting era right now in the sport, and I'm curious to see kind of which way it goes.
Is at I don't know if an all-time high is the right way to say it, but I feel like the aggressiveness levels are at an all-time stupid, where it's just we may have had previous times in NASCAR where drivers were dumb aggressive, but at least their aggressiveness allowed other drivers to still have a chance and still race. I feel like right now the aggressiveness is just, I'm going to put my car wherever the fuck I want. I don't care how it affects you. If it wrecks you, if it puts you in the wall, if it wrecks the entire field, I don't care. I'm trying to win this thing. And I feel like that's kind of the aggressiveness we're seeing now.
I feel like as well, previously, I think back to, like we're lacking this now, is the drivers self-policing this kind of stuff, and even the sport policing it. I think about 10 years ago, Keselowski had his 2014 kind of arc where he was going wild, and the drivers policed it for him, and then he cleaned it up.
Well, I will say
NASCAR also put him on probation.
They've tried that with Hocevar, and they've tried that with Chastain a few years ago. So I think it is still there. It's just it's on the drivers to care,
But
it's
as well,
on the ones being ran into and the ones that they're trying to mentor to care about all that stuff happening to them as a payback.
I think it's also harder to set a driver straight on the track now because you're just going to get suspended if you do something back to them. The boys have that. It's kind of gone.
I feel like, though, you'd really only have that come up if you just blatantly right hook or blatantly dump the crap out of somebody. You can still, oops, I made a mistake and turned him and spun him. Oopsies, you can still do that, Just don't blatantly destroy him.
You know what they can't do is punch.
Unfortunately, you're right.
Why can't we throw hands?
We're in that era again.
And we'll be back into the all-out brawl era in like 5 years from now. And we'll be loving it. And then for some reason, NASCAR in about 10 years from now will pull back again and be like, fighting's not good. It's like a 5-year cycle, maybe a bit longer than 5 years, but it always goes back and forth. So, but the races were good overall. And actually, I'm just thinking about who we had for our picks for the Xfinity race. You had
I don't even remember.
Allgaier. You had Allgaier, so you were right for a lot of it. I had Sheldon Creed.
Like 3 laps to go.
I had Sheldon Creed until Austin Hill decided to hit the inside wall and wipe him out. And then I got the Bell one right, and then you had Tyler Reddick in the Cup Series side. So I finally get something right. And now we're going into Las Vegas, and we'll see who gets anything right there. I guess we're pretty well on. Oh, Ty Gibbs. He finally cracked the top 15 today at one point. I can't remember the last time I saw that happen. And then he had issues. And he ends up in, hold on. Ty Gibbs, and he actually got a solid finish for what happened. He finished 25th.
Yeah, I was going to say he got at least inside the top 30 at this point, because I noticed that Mike had to change his narrative from outside the top 30 to outside the top 25.
I do know
But
all the
still,
cars behind him were like 10 laps down, though. Plus.
Yeah, they were mostly the ones who wrecked.
Yeah.
I think that they put up a graphic on the screen. I'll see if I can find it real quick, because I saw somebody tweet it.
It was like
I think the
30th,
graphic was
31st.
Yeah,
16,
but I think it was like
30, 35.
only Daytona out of the last 8 or 9 races where it was not outside the top 25. Oh, I found it right here. So it's from the Roval of last year up until Austin, and then including today. His 16th place at Daytona is his only finish inside the top 30, and then today made that 2 of the last 9 races inside the top 30, and of course today was 25th.
Wow. Ty Gibbs is on a roll.
That graphic was 35th, 30th, 36th, 32nd, 40th, 16th, 32nd, 34th.
There's some bad
really
luck in there,
stretch.
But there's also some driver error
last year
in there.
with the team.
You think the Phoenix finale, he just straight up wrecked himself on like lap 2
Yep.
after he hit the wall, and broke the toe link. That was driver error. Today, he got up to like 12th at one point. But for a lot of the race, he was just. But the first stage, he was running outside the top 30. He didn't go anywhere. And then like a lot of the race, he was running in like the mid-20s. And then I guess I don't know if they got it on strategy or something, but they got into a decent running
that's
spot.
about the only time he could pass at this track today, especially. So I assume it was something with strategy.
But he ends up 25th either way. And again, we'll just kind of continue to go on and see how long his struggles go. We're going into Las Vegas. I think this is a track where if he doesn't run good at a normal 1.5 mile oval like Las Vegas, I think then it's like, okay, there's definitely some concern here. So I think he really actually needs to step up this weekend.
I mean, season quote unquote started today, as they said numerous times in the pre-race show during the broadcast.
I feel like it's a bad look for the sport.
Yeah, I feel like it is pretty stupid to be saying that. You know,
the broadcast,
we've
run 3 races,
wild card races, like blah blah blah. Like, yeah, okay, sure, they're quote unquote wild card races, but they're still Cup Series races with Cup Series drivers that know how to drive these things and have to use skill. Okay, maybe not as much skill for Daytona, but skill for Atlanta, surely, and skill last week too. Like, it's not a wild card race where anything can happen. You have to be skilled to win on a road course. But I get what they're trying to say, the meat and bones of NASCAR, where we're getting to some short tracks and some 1.5 miles and all that stuff. But my point originally was season quote unquote started today for everybody else. Season quote unquote starts next week, I guess, for Ty Gibbs, now that we're getting to 1.5 miles.
So I think that pretty well wraps up all of our talking points today. We're going to do this in under an hour.
That's pretty good.
That's okay.
You know, I was having a conversation with Austin last night, and I kind of agree with him. We need to try and find some guests for the podcast this year.
I think Jeff Gordon would be willing to come on.
I think that would be a great first guest. A guest is Jeff Gordon.
If we can't get Jeff Gordon, we can settle for like
and
Ryan
by
Ellis.
Me, I mean you, because you have the pull here, and you need to use that pull. Network yourself, buddy.
I'll hit up Ryan Ellis. I saw he was on the Joey Stone podcast, so I mean,
yeah, you
surely
know.
he'll agree to come on this one.
Why not?
Well, I don't know what would we ask him. Where were you born? Have you ever raced in NASCAR?
Well, I think we can answer that one ourselves.
How can I take your job? We'll have to figure out something there. I'll see what we can do. We'll do that as we'll pull a guest in for episode 10.
Are you calling it now? 5 episodes away, we could have guessed?
Yeah.
All right.
All right. There we go.
I'm going to hold you to it.
All right. All right. Let's see if I can pull it off.
Comments hold him to it.
The 2 comments we'll get. Okay. That's going to wrap it up. Let's go into our picks for Las Vegas. I'm sure we'll have more to talk about next week because there'll be some midweek stuff surely that comes out from Phoenix. But so we have...
And before we miss like 5 penalties this week, and the one time we don't record
the
midweek,
race winner just got disqualified.
The top 3 just got disqualified.
And Josh Berry is a Cup Series winner. We have trucks.
F1 returns next weekend.
Xfinity,
That's
Cup,
something.
And Formula One next weekend.
I believe IndyCar at Thermal next weekend.
That's what 2
and
weeks.
Sebring next weekend. I thought Thermal was next weekend because I thought it was the 16th.
No, it's the 23rd or something. It said 22nd,
okay.
23rd, whatever day that is. Yeah, we do have F1 coming. I guess let's briefly touch on F1, and we'll kind of bring in Las Vegas after that. Formula One finally back this weekend. Of course, new driver changes there. A lot of driver changes actually.
Yeah, a lot.
Lost into Red Bull. Hamilton, of course, to Ferrari. Maybe the most hyped up move since I've watched Formula One. Mercedes with the rookie of Kimi Antonelli. V-Car brings in Isaac Hadjar. You got Sauber with a new lineup with Hulkenberg, and they got Bortoletto, who's like, I haven't really heard much about him, but like I guess he's like really highly praised. So we'll see how he does. Haas, of course, with Oliver Behrman and Esteban Ocon. Alpine's got Jack Doohan for like 4 or 5 races before Colapinto takes his ride. And then you got Yuki Tsunoda, who's still stuck at V-Car. But we got an interesting season nonetheless on the way. Carlos Sainz to Williams as well. But F1 got really interesting in the last like half of 2024 after Red Bull kind of fell off a cliff. And I wouldn't be surprised at all if we keep seeing that kind of interesting wave where we see Ferrari showing up and Mercedes here and there, but Red Bull still might have some good races, and then McLaren. So like, I mean, we could realistically have 3 or 4 teams fighting for wins on a, near weekly basis this year.
Yeah, I want to think that anyways. F1 always finds a way. The teams always find a way, especially at the beginning of the year. We might see 4 teams fighting for wins, and then the teams always find a way to improve massively compared to the rest of the field. So we'll see if that sticks around. I saw that there's already been a thing of Verstappen saying they don't have the car to win in Australia. I'll believe that when I see it. I think Max Verstappen is still Max Verstappen, no matter how good or bad Red Bull is. A week away, and we're already talking about rain, huh?
Yeah, they're already talking about rain.
Okay.
If it's raining there, I'd put my bet on Max Verstappen.
Nice. Maybe. I guess it depends on how everything.
He's just better than everybody in the rain.
Strategy and everything. He's better than everybody, just about any time, man. Really.
Well, that's very true.
I'm not sure that there's a single driver in F1 close to Verstappen talent-wise. But as far as team moves go, I can't remember the last time. I don't think it's happened the entire time I've been watching F1 where we come into the season with only 2 teams with the same driver lineup as the previous year. We got 8 teams with different driver lineups than they had the season before. And I don't think there's been a single other time that's happened since I started watching F1 in like 16 or 17.
I'm really most looking forward to, just kicking off a new season of watching really just insane fan bases go to war with each other. NASCAR has a lot of crazy fans too, don't get me wrong, but I don't know, I find the F1 side more comical to watch.
Well, I think it's because F1 got hugely popular because of Drive to Survive, right? And I mean, F1, don't get me wrong, F1 was way popular before Drive to Survive, but they got popular, especially in the US, because of Drive to Survive. And it made them popular on social media then because of that, with just regular people and the insane social media people have came in and they have their driver muses and people that are just obsessed with F1 and when's the new season of F1 out when they talk about Drive to Survive and stuff. So, uh, yeah, it's a bit insane to see how some of the F1 people act on Twitter.
If I see a Twitter bio with LN4, CL16,
Yeah,
LH44,
anything,
or
yeah, yeah.
GR63, it's an immediate mute or block. Because I know if they have
Yeah.
one of those in their bio, they're
They're
an
insane. They are
extremist.
insane.
They are an extremist of their driver. They are insane. They have this just. They're unbelievable. They're unbearable.
I come across their little communities of them every now and then where I'll just see a post from one person and then I see, the comments and everything that they're responding to and it's just like you're following a racing how are these tweets and how are these discussions about a racing series? How are they about racing drivers? It's so just weird. I don't know. It's
There's a lot
very
of weird
cultish.
stuff. Yeah. Um, ugh. F1 fans, a lot of them are weird. But as we said, there's a lot of weird NASCAR fans too. So, but yeah, Formula One this weekend. It'll be exciting to watch. So we'll throw that into our picks too. Go on. Formula One picks, Jay. I'm going with Lando Norris. Unfortunately, no, I'm not. No, I'm not. The only way I'll pick Lando Norris is if someone's holding a gun to my head. Oscar Piastri wins at home, wins the season opener.
You think the McLaren is going to, in any way, not screw over Piastri to benefit Lando Norris?
Not at home.
I think they would. I think they most certainly would. In zero world do I expect Piastri to ever have the upper hand on Lando Norris, unfortunately.
I mean, honestly, Oscar Piastri could be OP this year. See what I did there?
Unfortunately, yes.
But no, that's my pick. Oscar Piastri is going to win.
Well, then I'm going Lando, so I guess we're both choosing McLaren drivers then. Riding off of the momentum from last season, I think McLaren's still going to come out as the best team this year, so give me Lando.
Lando Norris for Jay, Oscar Piastri for me. Truck Series, Xfinity Cup, they're all in Las Vegas. Truck Series.
Do we know what Cup drivers are doing the lower series races this weekend? I would imagine that Kyle is racing at least one of them.
I have no clue.
Let me. I'm looking right now. Entry. Never mind. They have not been posted yet, so I have no idea.
So let's just go off of the info that we do have. I'm going with Las Vegas. Last year, Rajah Caruth won Las Vegas. I'm gonna go with Rajah Caruth going back-to-back years with a Las Vegas win.
I am not going to go with Caruth. I am gonna go. Okay, if Kyle Busch here, this is what I'll do. If Kyle Busch races, I'm going with Kyle Busch. If he is not racing this weekend in the Truck Series, I'm gonna go with. Heck, I don't even know who I'm gonna go with. I'm looking at the standings and goodness gracious, no. I'm gonna go with Corey Heim.
Brave pick.
Yeah, thank you. I know.
Xfinity Series. I'm gonna go. I think it's gonna be a Joe Gibbs car. I'm going to take not William Sawalich. I'm gonna go with. Wow, I look at the lineup this year and I'm just like, man, they don't have like a stacked lineup anymore at Joe Gibbs. But
what do you mean? They got Aric Almirola.
Is he full time?
Select races.
Okay, still. Okay.
No.
I'm gonna go with. This is gonna be maybe a surprise one. I'm gonna go with Brandon Jones.
Brandon Jones.
Yeah, he stepped up in Phoenix. He's back at Gibbs. He's stepping back up to the plate. He's back.
Okay. That's an interesting choice. I'm not going to go with Austin Hill.
Pretty sure he's won there before in an Xfinity race.
That I don't know. I'll be honest. I I have a squirrel brain when it comes to
I know
remembering
Austin
things
Hill
like
has
that.
it. But
I am gonna go with Jesse Love.
you think Jesse Love's going to win somewhere that's not a super speedway?
He's leading the points currently, brother.
Yeah, thank God for the 2 super speedway races.
My brother in Christ.
Where
You
did
trying to
he
tell me that
finish in
Jesse
Phoenix?
Love ain't good?
He's overrated. He's a good driver, but he's certainly overrated. Where did he finish?
I think I
Jesse
disagree.
Love. He finished 9th in Phoenix. He was washed up.
That's top 10.
That ain't winning. Yeah, if you're
Okay.
if you're an Xfinity prospect in your second year, 9th isn't gonna cut it, brother. If you're in your first year, I'm like, okay, good job. But you're year 2, you got to step up to the plate. Okay, you got to be winning 30 races. You don't got to win that much. All right, Cup Series. Hendrick Motorsport, Kyle Larson. Or
Yeah,
I don't know. Hold on.
if you were,
I take it back.
I think
Christopher
we
Bell
both have
for
to-
Pete.
Oh, okay. We don't have the same choices then. I think, well, actually, no, maybe not. I was going to say in years past, I probably would have chosen Logano for this race. I don't know what it is, but it always seems that whoever is sponsored by the Spring Las Vegas race, they win that Spring Las Vegas race. It seemed to happen every year with Jimmy. Now it happens every year with Logano, I feel like. But I'm going to go with Kyle Larson.
So Jay picks Larson for Cup, Kyle Busch if he's in the truck race, if not Corey Heim, Jesse Love for Xfinity, and Lando Norris for Formula One. Meanwhile, I've got Oscar Piastri for Formula One, Christopher Bell for Pete for Cup. He almost won it in the spring, I think. Then Kyle Larson won.
I don't think you have to justify the pick at this point. I mean, he's been just on
Very
fire
true.
the last.
And he would have
20 or
won
so
if
races.
Logano didn't do the fuel mileage thing in the last time. But,
Yeah.
And then I got Rajat Caruth for trucks and Brandon Jones for Xfinity. And that's going to wrap it up. That's it. We will be back next week, hopefully same time, for the recap of our thoughts of Las Vegas. And we'll have some Formula One to talk about, which will be nice as well. And yeah, that's going to be it for us. Yeah, hopefully you guys enjoyed. Make sure to listen, watch on YouTube, and we will see you guys in a week from now following Las Vegas. Thank you for listening, and have yourselves a great day.